He smiled when he said it. That was the first thing I noticed. Not because it was funny, not because it was true, but because my best friend looked at her before he looked at me and told a room full of people the one thing I trusted him to keep buried. Then she laughed. And that's when I knew this wasn't a joke. It was an audition. He thought exposing me would buy him status. She thought I would swallow it to keep the peace. And everyone in that room was waiting to see whether I was the kind of man who protects his dignity or trades it for social approval. What they didn't know was simple. I had already seen the game, and I was about to close it. The room was loud, drinks everywhere, fake energy, fake confidence, the usual performance. She had been giving me that look all night, the one that says she wants attention. Oh, not connection, testing, teasing, pulling focus. And my so-called friend was orbiting her like a white knight with something to prove. So when she asked, "Come on, what's the craziest thing he's ever done?" I saw the setup immediately. Most men miss that moment. They think the danger starts when the disrespect lands. No. The danger starts when the room gives permission. He could have laughed it off. He could have changed the subject. He could have shown loyalty in one sentence. Instead, he leaned in and told her about the private situation I told him months before, something I said in confidence when my life was heavy, when I was handling business, when I needed a brother, not a clown. He said it like a punchline. She laughed harder. He smiled wider. And the room followed now, stay rational. A lot of men would call this just banter. They'd say I was too serious, too proud, too sensitive. Wrong. A joke is when everybody laughs and nobody loses respect. This was different. This was a social trade. He offered my privacy to increase his value in her eyes. He converted loyalty into entertainment. That makes him a liability. And her reaction mattered too, because the problem wasn't that she laughed once. The problem was what she respected. She wasn't drawn to honesty. She was drawn to the man willing to violate another man's boundaries for female approval. That tells you everything you need to know about the kind of attention she rewards. That's not chemistry. That's corruption. But that wasn't the real issue. The real issue was what they expected me to do next. They expected the standard weak script. Smile it off. Throw a fake laugh into the air. Maybe fire back with another joke. Pretend disrespect is nothing, so everyone stays comfortable. That's how men lose themselves in public. Not with one big collapse. With 1,000 small approvals of things that should have been rejected immediately. So I didn't raise my voice, didn't argue, didn't perform outrage. I just looked at him long enough for the room to get quiet. Then I asked one question. Was that worth it? No anger, no chaos, just pressure. He laughed at first, because weak men always laugh when accountability enters the room. He said, "Bro, relax. It's not that deep." There it was, the excuse. Every act of disrespect comes with the same cheap packaging. Relax. You're overthinking it. It was a joke. Don't make it weird. Notice what those lines do. They don't correct the behavior. They try to shame the reaction. That's manipulation. That's an emotional safety test. They cross the line, then study whether you'll defend the line or apologize for having one. I didn't apologize. I said, "No." What's weird is that you needed her approval badly enough to sell out a private conversation. Silence. Now the room wasn't laughing. She stepped in right away. Of course she did. Women like that often do when the game turns. She said, "Wow, insecure much?" He was kidding. No, he was revealing. And she was reframing. That's another pattern men need to trust, but verify. When disrespect gets exposed, the people benefiting from it will always try to redefine it. Suddenly you're not responding to betrayal. You're being dramatic. Suddenly they're not wrong. You're unstable. Oh, classic. So I looked at her and said, "This doesn't concern you. You wanted a show. You got one." Then I looked back at him. "And you're done?" You could feel the shift. Not because I yelled, because I meant it. And this is where most men fail. They issue consequences they don't enforce. They say, "I'm done," and then text next week. They call out betrayal, then keep the traitor in the circle because history feels heavier than self-respect. But history means nothing when trust is dead. This guy wasn't my enemy. That would have been easier. He was worse. He was familiar. He had access. He knew the value of what I told him, and he spent it anyway. That's not a mistake. That's character. He tried one more move. Fake apology. Half smile. Come on, man. Don't be like that. You know how she is. Listen carefully to that line. He blamed her to save himself. That's how low men operate when the audit starts. First they betray you, then they hide behind the woman they were trying to impress. No accountability, no spine, just another excuse wearing different clothes. And that's when the game revealed itself fully. It was never about humor. It was never about attraction. It was never about one secret. It was about who was willing to abandon principle for status. He was. I wasn't. So I said it clean, in front of everyone. If you need to disrespect me to look valuable, then you were never valuable. Lose my number. No speech, no debate, no second hearing. I picked up my jacket and left him standing there with the same room he had tried to win. Oh, and suddenly it wasn't such a prize. Understand the lesson. Men think betrayal is always loud. Sometimes it arrives smiling. Sometimes it wears friendship. Sometimes it hides inside a woman's laugh and a man's need for validation. But the pattern is the same. If someone turns your trust into social currency, they are not confused. They are revealing their price. And if the price is low enough, they will sell you again. So no, I didn't lose a friend that night. I completed an audit. I identified a liability, exposed the manipulation, enforced the boundary, and removed deadweight 6 emotion. That is what a high-value man does. He does not chase explanations. He does not negotiate with disrespect. He does not protect people who gamble with his name. He stays rational. He remembers that time is currency, and trust is broken in public. The audit is closed. Never beg for loyalty from people who are willing to spend your dignity for applause.